Well, 52-year-old British novelist Paul Mendelson is in a quest to seal his name as one of the best crime fiction authors of his generation. He's written best-selling books including titles such as The First Rule of Survival and The Serpentine Road, to mention just a few. Now he's back with another thrilling fiction offering titled Apostle Lodge. Now a read that is set in Cape Town and follows the life of Colonel Vaughan de Vries as he investigates a crime committed within the walls of an award-winning ocean-looking mansion. Now Paul is currently in the country to promote the release of this book, and he joins us now from our Seaporn studios in Cape Town to help us unpack this explosive thriller. Now, a very good morning to you, Paul. Thank you so much for joining us.
Good morning. Very nice to be here.
Now, you've come a very long way. I mean, you've authored books such as Texas Hold'em Poker, Begin and Win, and your expertise come from a long association with gaming in the UK, in South Africa, and in Las Vegas. Now, talk us through your journey. When was it that you discovered that you actually have it in you that you want to write thrillers?
Well, you know, I've written stories all my life. I was writing them at school when I should have been doing other things, and I just moved on to from writing first for the theatre and then for television in the UK. I moved on to writing about mind sports, as you say, like bridge and poker and casino gaming. But all my life, I've loved thrillers and whodunits, right from the very word go, whether it's Agatha Christie when I was a very young child, right up to contemporary writers now, like the great Dion Meyer here in South Africa.
And you plot so smoothly in this jaw-dropping crime thriller. What inspired you to write it, and what is it about?
Well, Apostle Lodge is about some abductions of women in Cape Town that becomes a murder investigation for my main protagonist, Colonel Vaughan de Vries. But it's also combined with what is assumed to be a terrorist attack in the mother city, which another detective, Mike Solarin, investigates on behalf of the Hawks, and it becomes clear fairly early on that perhaps this isn't a terrorist attack, perhaps instead this is something different, and eventually the two investigations combine and come together. But as you say, the original murder takes place in an award-winning architect-designed building just under the 12 Apostles at the top of Camps Bay called Apostle Lodge. And that building itself is very much part of the novel. It's a very strange building indeed and hides many secrets from the past.
Now, you've written so many books on poker, and I suppose that poker is the closest to your heart. So this being your fourth crime thriller, how is it different from the other titles you've written?
Well, certainly when I write non-fiction, it's just a matter of putting my head down and getting on with writing the words during the course of the day. When I write fiction, it's much more of a creative process, and to some extent you have to be in the mood. So I spend a lot of time preparing to write, and then once I start writing, I often go on for many hours. And because these four crime thrillers have been set down in the Cape, I've been coming down to South Africa, down to Cape Town for 25 years now, and I have many friends down here, and I love it here, and I find it a very inspiring place to write. So I spend much of the year in London thinking about what I'm going to write, and then when I come down here, I spend long periods of time just sitting at my desk and writing, and it's something that I enjoy very much indeed.
I particularly like your attention to detail when describing Cape Town's architecture and the landscape and the people. How then do you manage to effortlessly capture the true essence of this city?
Well, it's very kind of you to say it's effortlessly. I have an absolute passion for Cape Town. When I first came down, I thought it was an amazing city inhabited by fantastic people, and I've made many friends now, including some of the very best friends in my life. So when you have a love affair with a particular place, I think it's easier to write about it. But for me, Cape Town is the perfect combination of an urban environment and a beautiful topographical situation. So I love everything about it, and it gives me great pleasure to write about it.
Now, Lee Child is a very difficult person to impress, but then most, if not all of your books have Lee Child's stamp of approval. What does that endorsement mean to you?
Well, it means a huge amount. I have to say that having been involved in the theatre and television, where the field is pretty competitive, I found that crime writers are generally supportive of one another. And I was very, very excited when my publisher said that Lee Child had read my first novel and had enjoyed it and had been kind enough to endorse it. And it seems that he likes my style of writing. I have to say I'm a big fan of his. He truly produces novels which appear to be effortless, but I know how much work go into them. They're very, very readable. But the fact that he enjoys this particular genre set down in Southern Africa is very exciting to me, and it's very encouraging. And I remember shortly after I started writing my second novel, he sent me an email and I replied to him and said, I'm really struggling with this second novel. I'm not sure that I have any idea what I'm doing. And he said, well, welcome to the world of writing. I often get halfway through my novel and have no idea what I'm doing. And he seems to manage to nail it every time. So that was an inspiration to me.
Now, Paul Mendelson, I'm going to give you my own personal endorsement that you are a literary genius, and this is an absolute masterpiece. Thank you so much for chatting to us this morning.
Well, thank you so much. It's been a great pleasure.
Well, indeed, it's a pleasure. Thank you so much to Paul. That was a British crime fiction novelist, Paul Mendelson, joining us from our Seaporn studio, and he's been speaking to us about the release of his latest offering entitled Apostle Lodge. This is an absolute masterpiece. It's a must read. Let's take a coffee break. We'll be right back.